Tensions between Israel and Iran have once again reached a boiling point. Recent Israeli airstrikes targeted Iranian military facilities in Syria, claiming to disrupt weapons shipments. These strikes represent a significant escalation, raising fears of a wider conflict. The strikes come amidst heightened tensions surrounding the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and Iran's nuclear program. Israel views Iran's growing military presence in Syria as a direct threat. Iran views the strikes as an act of aggression and a violation of its sovereignty. The Islamic Republic has vowed to respond, further fueling the cycle of violence. This latest flare-up underscores the fragility of the situation in the Middle East. In the aftermath of the Israeli airstrikes, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, issued a fiery condemnation. He denounced the attacks as criminal acts and a clear violation of international law. Khamenei accused Israel of state terrorism and vowed a crushing response. His words carry immense weight within Iran and among its allies. Khamenei also rallied support for the Palestinian cause. He reiterated Iran's commitment to resisting Israeli occupation. Central to Khamenei's response was a call for unity among Muslim nations. He urged Islamic countries to set aside their differences and present a united front against Zionist aggression. Khamenei called on Muslim leaders to support the Palestinian people and hold Israel accountable. This call for unity is a recurring theme in Iranian foreign policy. Iran leverages the Palestinian issue to counter Western influence. Khamenei's call extends beyond the Muslim world. He appealed to the international community to condemn Israel's actions. He accused the West of hypocrisy for ignoring Israel's violations. Khamenei seeks to portray Iran as a victim of Western double standards. This aims to undermine Western support for Israel and boost Iran's influence. The recent escalation in tensions between Israel and Iran has sent shockwaves through the Middle East, further destabilizing an already volatile region. The risk of a wider conflict, whether intentional or accidental, has increased significantly. Iran's support for various armed groups in the region, including Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, adds another layer of complexity to the situation. These groups, considered terrorist organizations by Israel and many Western powers, could be drawn into the conflict, igniting a conflagration with unpredictable consequences. Beyond direct confrontation, the risk of miscalculation and escalation is heightened. A misinterpretation of intentions, a stray projectile or an unforeseen incident could quickly spiral out of control, dragging the region into a wider war. The potential human cost of such a conflict is immeasurable. Millions of civilians in Israel, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, and potentially beyond would be caught in the crossfire. The economic and political ramifications would be felt globally, further destabilizing an already fragile world order. The international community has expressed deep concern over the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. The United Nations, the European Union, and various world leaders have called for restraint and urged all parties to avoid further escalation. However, concrete actions to de-escalate the situation have been limited. The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, has reiterated its support for Israel's right to defend itself, while urging all sides to avoid actions that could further inflame the situation. Mediation efforts face significant challenges. The deep mistrust between Israel and Iran, coupled with their conflicting interests and regional ambitions, make finding common ground extremely difficult. The involvement of other regional actors, each with their own agendas, further complicates the situation. The lack of a unified international response also hinders mediation efforts. The international community remains divided on how to approach the Iranian nuclear program and address Iran's regional activities. This lack of consensus weakens the effectiveness of any diplomatic initiative and allows the conflict to fester. The situation in the Middle East remains precariously balanced on a knife's edge. The potential for further escalation between Israel and Iran is very real, with potentially catastrophic consequences for the region and the world. While all parties involved have a vested interest in avoiding a full-blown war, the risk of miscalculation or misjudgment remains high. The volatile mix of historical grievances, ideological differences, and geopolitical ambitions creates a tinderbox that could ignite at any moment. The international community faces a daunting challenge in trying to mediate this complex and dangerous situation. Finding a path to de-escalation and a sustainable peace will require a concerted effort based on dialogue, diplomacy, and a willingness to address the legitimate concerns of all parties involved. The alternative, a wider conflict in the Middle East, is a scenario too horrific to contemplate. The stakes are incredibly high and the world watches with bated breath, hoping that cooler heads will prevail and a path to peace can be found.